I was a level 6 awakened, the absolute pinnacle of the apocalypse. I possessed a top-tier S rank ability, but just as I was about to break through to level 7 and become a god, my fiancé injected me with the essence blood of a zombie king. In an instant, I went completely berserk and was struck dead by the heavenly tribulation. As I crumbled into ashes, my fiancé spat out with bitter resentment, "Lu Qin, if you hadn't used the very last vial of life serum back then, Jiang Fan would never have died." At the very last moment, just as my consciousness was fading away, I activated my hidden rank skill, Spadio Temporal Reversal. I went back to the exact day Jiang Fan insisted on challenging the Zombie King. Just like in my previous life, the three of us unexpectedly ran into the Zombie King while out scavenging for supplies. With our current strength, we had no business fighting a Zombie King head-on. If we drew in a zombie horde, we'd be torn to shreds without a doubt. But the moment Jiang Fan saw it, his eyes lit up. This Zombie King is clearly heavily injured. There's a massive hole in its stomach and dark blood is pouring out of it. Besides, I spotted this Zombie King first. The blood core inside its body naturally belongs to me. Don't even think about stealing it. Ye Qing had no objections. She turned her head and looked at me. Lu Chen, Jiang Fan's strength is still weak in the alliance. His status is low and he's constantly looked down upon. If he can just absorb the energy from that blood core, his power will definitely skyrocket. Let's lend him a hand. In my previous life, I could have gotten out of there unscathed. But because Jiang Fan saw the Zombie King was injured, he tried to rush in and finish it off. As a result, he got surrounded by the zombie horde. Ye Qing had already broken out of the encirclement, but without a word, she turned right back around. To save Ye Qing, I decisively stayed behind to cover their retreat. By the time I escaped back to the Alliance, I was barely breathing. The Alliance chairman used the very last vial of life serum on me, and I survived. As for Jiang Fan, because his infection was too severe, he eventually mutated and was executed. While I was lost in thought, Jiang Fan was already sprinting like a beaten dog, fleeing desperately in this direction. Right behind him was the enraged Zombie King and an overwhelming army of zombies. Ye Qing grabbed Jiang Fan's hand and ran like the wind. Suddenly, she gave me a hard shove. "Lu Chen, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and hold off the Zombie King for us." In response, I ran even faster than the two of them. "The Zombie King has already gone berserk. You want me to go up there and throw my life away?" Ye Qing's face instantly darkened. "Lu Chen, aren't you already a level 5 awakened? Do you want all three of us to die here?" I let out a cold sneer. "You're a level 5 awakened too. Why don't you go hold off the Zombie King?" Ye Qing's footsteps faltered for a second, but the roars of the zombies behind us quickly forced her to speed up again. She glared daggers at me. "Lu Chen, I am your fiancé. Are you even a man?" I looked at her with pure mockery. "Whether I'm a man or not, you should be the one who knows best. Besides, as my fiancé, you're not holding my hand. Instead, you're holding another man's hand right in front of me." Ye Qing flushed with shame and anger. "What nonsense are you spouting? I'm holding Jiang Fan's hand because I'm afraid he'll fall behind. Jiang Fan is weak, so I'm just taking extra care of him. Isn't that what I should be doing?" Jiang Fan looked at me with a grieved expression. "Don't blame Sister Ye Qing, this is all my fault. I dragged you guys into this, please, just do something." Suddenly, the Zombie King caught up. It let out a furious roar that nearly shattered my eardrums. Jiang Fan, with his weak strength, had already taken heavy damage just now. Now his blood surged and he coughed up a massive mouthful of blood. Seeing this, Ye Qing's eyes turned red. "I'm going to tear you into 100 pieces today." Saying that, she condensed a long ice sword in her hands and pointed it straight at the Zombie King's head. The Zombie King roared. Its massive claws swiped down, shattering the ice sword instantly. The impact sent Ye Qing stumbling backward. Even though she was a level 5 awakened, I had protected her way too well. She barely had any actual combat experience, not to mention what she was facing now was a berserk Zombie King. Jiang Fan screamed from behind, "Watch out!" He didn't even have the courage to charge in again. Ye Qing gritted her teeth and condensed several ice arrows, shooting them straight at the Zombie King's eyes. However, the Zombie King's defense was incredibly tough. Other than a few vital spots, it was almost impossible to break through its armor. The Zombie King raised its arm to block. The ice arrows struck its arm and exploded in the sunlight. but they only left a few shallow wounds. They dealt absolutely no real damage, and instead, it completely enraged the zombie king. With heavy, thudding footsteps, it rapidly closed in on Yiqing. Every step made the ground tremble. The surrounding zombies howled as they swarmed in. Seeing this, Yiqing's face turned deathly pale. She finally realized she was absolutely no match for the zombie king. She instinctively turned her head to look at me. Jiangfan roared furiously. Lu Chen, are you really just going to stand there and watch her die?
She's your fiancée, huh? I was honestly hoping they'd get torn to shreds by the zombies, but I still had to play my part. I couldn't be sure if someone was secretly recording nearby, or if there were other awakened around. The Alliance's punishment for abandoning teammates was extremely severe. With that in mind, I left an afterimage in my wake. When I reappeared, I was already behind the zombie king. Moving at lightning speed, I injected a berserk serum straight into the zombie king's body. It instantly grew even more frenzied. It roared non-stop. Just as its razor-sharp claws were about to tear into me, I pretended to take the hit. Flying backward like a cannonball, I smashed hard into the building across the street. Then, I struggled to my feet from the rubble and quickly fled the area. I had to see if they could actually escape. A completely berserk zombie king, or not. I had just cleared 2 blocks when I spotted another zombie king. This one was injured even worse. On its chest, besides 2 fist-sized bloody holes, it also had a broken leg. I immediately understood. It looked like 2 zombie kings had been fighting over territory. This one was clearly the loser. It lay on the ground, furious but helpless. There wasn't a single zombie minion around it. A zombie king's combat power was equivalent to a level 5 awakened, but this crippled zombie king was absolutely no match for me. It only took me half a minute to end the fight. Then I extracted an egg-sized blood core from its stomach. This thing contained pure spiritual energy. It felt ice cold in my hand. Compared to the weight of an actual egg, it was 100 times heavier. I carefully placed the blood core into a specially made jade box. This thing couldn't just significantly boost an awakened's strength, it was also hard currency in the Alliance. A complete zombie king blood core was enough to exchange for 100 vials of high-grade life serum or 1,000 bottles of nutrient solution. Just as I put the blood core away, waves of zombie howls echoed from afar, mixed with Yiqing's curses and Zhangfan's crying and screaming. I quietly sneaked over. Down on the street was the very same zombie king I had injected with the berserk serum earlier. It was frantically chasing after Yiqing and Zhangfan. Yiqing's ice ability was nearly depleted. All she could do was run for her life. Zhangfan was so terrified his soul had practically left his body. Even the ability sniper rifle in his hands had dropped to the ground. He was just blindly sprinting for his life behind Yiqing. Sister Yiqing, think of something, quick. Why is the zombie king so strong? Brother Lu Chen got sent flying. Just now, he's not dead, is he? Yiqing glanced back as she ran, only to see the zombie king closing in even faster. She was so panicked, she was on the verge of tears. He won't die that easily. Lu Chen, that bastard! I leaned against the corner of the rooftop, listening to her curse me out. In my previous life, if I hadn't held off the zombie king for you two, you wouldn't even have the chance to stand here and criticize me. Now I'm just letting you taste what it's like to be hunted by a zombie king. Right at that moment, a massive explosion suddenly rang out. The surrounding buildings collapsed one after another. Was this a targeted explosion by the Alliance? Or did they panic and run around blindly, triggering the Alliance's lockdown defense line? With that thought, I leapt down from the office building. In just a few bounds, I reached the block where the explosion happened. I saw Jiangfan lying on the ground. He had 7 or 8 bite and tear marks on his body. He was clearly infected with the zombie virus. Even though Jiangfan wasn't awakened, with his level of strength, he still couldn't resist the zombie toxin. Without the life serum, him turning into a zombie was only a matter of time. Yiqing's left arm had been brutally torn off, only her right hand remained, still gripping Jiangfan tightly, refusing to let go. The zombie king had clearly taken the brunt of the explosion. Half of its body had been blown away, yet it still howled relentlessly, its blood-red eyes glaring fixedly at the two of them. It wanted to tear Yiqing and Zhangfan into pieces. Without a second of hesitation, I drew my holy light sword and finished it off with a single strike. After extracting the blood core, I thought for a moment and decided not to kill them. After all, letting them die here right now would be letting them off way too easy.
While Jiang Fan was unconscious, I first crippled his third leg. Then, I picked them up like little chickens, one in each hand, and carried them out of the danger zone. Yeching and Jiang Fan weren't dead yet, but both were infected with the zombie virus. As for the life serum, there was only one vial left. I wanted to see what choice Yeching would make. Very quickly, we returned to the Alliance's District 3. Hurry, save them! That shout sent shockwaves everywhere, especially when an SS rank, level 5, awakened like Yeching was severely injured. It was obvious they had clashed with a zombie king. Alliance Chairman Xu Feng's face was grim. What the hell happened to you kids? Even if you ran into a zombie king, as long as you didn't provoke it and make it go. Berserk, how could you end up this badly hurt? Seeing Xu Feng fly into a rage, I immediately added fuel to the fire. I told everyone the story of how Jiang Fan had provoked the zombie king. At the same time, I used my body camera to play back the entire incident for everyone to see. The part where I injected the berserk serum into the zombie king wasn't recorded. After I was sent flying by the zombie king, the camera had already turned off. After watching it, Xu Feng was absolutely furious. After all, Ye Qing was his most beloved disciple. The medical staff quickly treated the two of them. Not long after, they both slowly regained consciousness. The very first thing Ye Qing did upon waking up was search everywhere for Jiang Fan. It wasn't until she saw his figure that she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Right after, the pain from her severed left arm hit her like a tidal wave, engulfing her. She bit her lip hard, refusing to make a sound. Xu Feng was fuming with rage. Ye Qing, even now, you're still worrying about that Jiang Fan? If it weren't for this useless trash, how could you have ended up like this? Not to mention you're now crippled. Just the zombie virus in your body alone will slowly corrode away all your abilities. Hearing this, a look of terror flashed in Ye Qing's eyes. Lu Chen, this is all your fault. If you hadn't failed to stop the zombie king, how would things have turned out like this? You fled from battle and abandoned your teammates. You're a traitor. Someone arrest this traitor. Before I could even say a word, the crowd around us couldn't take it anymore. They began to speak up in disgust. This Ye Qing is way too shameless. If Lu Chen hadn't risked his life to bring them back, they'd probably be dead without a whole corpse by now. What an ungrateful wretch. If you ask me, brother Lu Chen shouldn't have saved them at all. Who doesn't know that Jiang Fan overestimated himself and deliberately provoked the zombie king? And yet, she still has the nerve to blame others. The eyes of the masses were as clear as a mirror. They glanced back and forth between Ye Qing and Jiang Fan. Suddenly, someone covered their mouth and gasped in shock. Hey, do you guys think, are Ye Qing and Jiang Fan having an affair? You're just realizing that now? Even a blind man could see it in the video. She was defending Jiang Fan so fiercely. Plus, the first thing she did when she woke up was look for Jiang Fan. And now she has the audacity to make brother Lu Chen take the blame. Haha, and she calls herself the goddess of District 3. Have you no shame? Defending another man. Right in front of her own fiancé. Hearing this, Ye Qing's expression grew even more ferocious. I only see Jiang Fan as a little brother. What kind of nonsense are you all spouting? Make them shut up now. She still tried to direct her anger at me, but the laughter around us couldn't be stifled. Little brother? More like a boy toy. I bet she just thought brother Lu Chen was getting in the way of her and Jiang Fan, so she deliberately sent brother Lu Chen to his death. Jiang Fan shrank back on the hospital bed next to her, his hands gripping the bed sheets tightly. No, sister, Ye Qing and I really don't have anything going on. After saying that, Jiang Fan glared at me with deep resentment. I let out a cold sneer. By now, I was sure. Jiang Fan had already realized the truth, that his third leg was gone. It was just that there were too many onlookers around, so he didn't have the face to pull down his pants and check. He especially didn't dare to start a fight with me. Otherwise, a private matter, like that would be exposed to everyone. Seeing this, Xu Feng was so furious his entire body trembled. Ye Qing, you have disappointed me too much. Ye Qing was his most cherished disciple. Now, because of some pretty boy, she had become a cripple. On top of that, her reputation was ruined, making even her teacher lose all face. Hearing his reprimand, Ye Qing's entire body shook. She looked at Xu Feng with anxious eyes. Teacher, I know I was wrong, but don't you still have one last vial of life serum? Could you please give it to me? Hearing this, my pupils contracted. The Righteous Alliance controlled a total of 3 safe zones. Originally, each zone had its own supply of life serum. But ever since Medical Team 5 and District 3's research lab were blown up by the Dark Alliance, District 3 could no longer produce its own serum. They could only request transfers from other districts. However, no matter which district it was, life serum was an extremely scarce medical resource. The other two districts naturally wouldn't hand over much. District 3 currently only had one last vial of life serum left, other than the Alliance chairman of District 3 and a few high-ranking officials. No one else had the clearance to know about it. Ye King absolutely did not have the clearance to know this in advance. The only explanation was, after the spatiotemporal reversal, Ye Qing had also retained her memories. Su Feng clearly started to grow suspicious as well. He stared intently at Ye Qing. But, in the end, this was once his most beloved disciple. A few seconds later, he still handed the last vial of serum to her. Ye Qing held the only vial of life serum in her hands, but she looked torn. I let out a cold sneer. There's only one vial of life serum. Ye King, both you and Jiangfan are infected with the zombie virus. You wouldn't just stand by and watch Jiangfan die, would you? Hearing this, Ye Qing gritted her teeth tightly. In my previous life, because I covered their retreat, I nearly died at the hands of the Zombie King. I grew up in District 3 and have made countless contributions to the Alliance since I was young. Plus, I was the only SE's rank awakened in Area 3. Xu Feng would naturally prioritize saving me. As for Jiang Fan, who'd been in Area 3 for less than 3 years, he brought it all on himself. I never thought my fiancée, Ye Qing, would hold such a grudge over it. Just as I was about to reach the pinnacle of my power, she dealt me a fatal blow. So, what will she choose this time? Tears suddenly streamed down Jiang Fan's face. Sister Ye Qing, you use it. My abilities are too weak. How could I be worthy of this life serum? As long as you're safe, Sister Ye Qing, I don't care what happens to me. I just won't be able to stay by your side anymore. Sister Ye Qing, promise me, you have to live a good life. Everyone was disgusted by Jiang Fan's manipulative, two-faced act, but Ye Qing bought it completely. Her heart ached as if it were being torn apart. She dropped to her knees before Xu Feng. Master, is there really no other way? Xu Feng sighed helplessly. The other areas are also running low on serum. There's no guarantee they have any. Besides, it would take at least a month for a shipment to arrive. With Zhang Fan's current strength, he can't hold on that long. Xu Feng hesitated for a moment. Unless... Ye Qing clung to that word like a drowning person to a lifeline. She scrambled to Xu Feng's feet. Unless what, Master? Please, tell me. Unless a higher level awakened is willing to give their crystal core to Zhang Fan, they could use their power to fight off the zombie toxin and buy him more time, until a new batch of serum arrives. The moment he finished speaking, Ye Qing's eyes instinctively turned to me. Her eyes were filled with hatred. Lu Chen. If you hadn't refused to hold off the zombie horde by yourself, to cover Zhang Fan's and my retreat, we wouldn't be in this mess. Shouldn't you give him your ability, Crystal Core? It's what you owe him. I let out a cold laugh. You want to use my Crystal Core to save Zhang Fan? Do you have any idea what you're saying? The people around us couldn't stand it anymore either. The crowd immediately erupted. Is this Ye Qing crazy? An awakened Crystal Core is their life force. If he gives it up, how is Lu Chen supposed to live? Jiang Fan brought this on himself. That's right. If he hadn't gotten greedy for the Zombie King's blood core, none of this would have happened. I think Zhang Fan must have put a spell on her. She can't even tell right from wrong anymore. Criticized by everyone, the king's face turned incredibly ugly, but she still hadn't given up. She turned to Xu Feng. See, Master, Lu Chen has no regard for our alliance. Jiang Fan is in this state, and he just stands by and watches him die. Xu Feng roared in anger. That's enough, Ye Qing. If you say one more word, don't you ever call me Master again? Ye Qing had never seen the Master, who had always doted on her, fly into such a rage. Her voice trembled. Master, I just want to save Jiang Fan. He's not going to make it. Xu Feng's face was ashen. Save him? You want to save him by destroying Lu Chen? Do you have any idea that if Lu Chen breaks through to level 6, he'll become an rank awakened? The first level 6 in Area 3 at that point. Forget a zombie king. Even if the corpse emperor himself showed up, he'd be able to put up a fight. Our Area 3 would no longer be the weakest city-state. He is the hope of our entire area. If you destroy him, who will fight back the zombie tides in the future? Who will stand against the Dark Alliance? And yet, for this pretty boy, you want to rip out Lu Chen's ability core? Have you lost your mind? Although Xu Feng was a level 6 SSE rank awakened, his age was catching up to him and his strength was waning. He didn't know how many more zombie waves he could withstand. Hearing this, Ye Qing immediately collapsed to the ground. As for me, I was perfectly calm. You want to save Jiangfen that badly? Why not give him your own serum? Or perhaps, in your heart, he's not that important after all. Of course, I knew exactly why Yi Qing cared so much about Jiangfan. Although Jiangfan had only been in Area 3 for 3 years, he had a face that was identical to Ye Qing's one true love, Qintian, a face that looked exactly like mine. Ye Qing and Qintian grew up together. Qintian was cheerful and curious, always wanting to go out and explore. As a child, I was quite introverted, so naturally, Ye Qing preferred to play with Qintian. She followed him around all day. Anyone could see the feelings she had for Qintian. As for me, I could only quietly bury my own feelings deep inside. The Alliance had a rule. No one under 18 was allowed to leave the city. When they were 17, Qintian took Ye Qing and snuck out of the city with a mining team. If they had returned on time with the team, nothing would have happened. But it was their first time outside the city, and forgetting the danger, they carelessly wandered into a restricted zone. To cover Ye Qing's retreat, Qintian was torn to pieces by a horde of zombies. This was a massive blow to Ye Qing. She was devastated for a long time. In the Alliance, once men and women came of age, they were required to be engaged. The legal age of marriage was also changed to 18. It was all to ensure humanity could grow stronger and continue the species. In the end, Ye Qing chose to get engaged to me, but she kept postponing the wedding day indefinitely. I knew the pain in her heart, and I was willing to give her time. So for all those years, I took meticulous care of Ye Qing. Every good thing I found on my missions, she was the first person I thought of giving it to, but I never imagined that in the end, I would die by her hand. Ye Qing glared at me with venom in her eyes, as if she wanted to slice me into 1,000 pieces. Ye Qing wanted to save her own life, but she also didn't want to lose Jiangfan. Just like before, she wanted the resources I gave her, but she also wanted to keep things ambiguous with Jiangfan. A leopard never changes its spots. I kindly reminded Ye Qing, what are you still hesitating for? Your little brother, Jiangfan, is about to turn if he doesn't get that serum. At my reminder, everyone's eyes turned to Jiangfan. His eyes were already starting to turn red. Ye Qing gritted her teeth and injected the only dose of serum into Jiangfan. The entire room was instantly stunned. Many people shot strange, furtive glances my way, watching my reaction. I burst out laughing. Ye Qing, so in your eyes, Jiangfan's life is even more important than your own? Since that's the case, I won't push you too far. I hereby declare that the engagement between me, Lu Chen, and Ye Qing is officially broken. It's a shame you and Jiangfan can't be husband and wife. You'll just have to be siblings from now on. Ye Qing whipped her head around, looking at me in disbelief. Lu Chen, you're breaking our engagement over this trivial matter? Ye Qing, don't tell me you don't want to break it off. Aren't you afraid of breaking your little brother Jiangfan's heart? Hearing these words, Ye Qing's expression became extremely foul. Fine, break it even if you get on your knees and beg me in the future. I will never marry you. I smirked strangely. My goal achieved, I couldn't be bothered to stay any longer. In that case, I wish you two lovebirds a long and happy life together. May you live happily ever after. With that, I strode away. Back at my place, I immediately went into seclusion. In my past life, while still recovering from severe injuries, I used just one Corpse King blood core to break through to level 6. Now, I have 2 blood cores. I can't wait to see how much progress I'll make. With the help of the 2 blood cores, it only took me 1 week to successfully break through to the peak of a level 6 awakened. I was just 1 step away from becoming a god at level 7. During this time, I heard that Ye Qing's condition was getting worse and worse. If it weren't for the fact that she was a level 5 SSE rank awakened, she probably would have turned long ago. Now, someone was monitoring her every day. If she really did turn, there was only one outcome for her: death. That day, Ye Qing knocked on my door. When I opened the door, I was stunned. The Ye Qing before me was a world apart from the fair-skinned beauty she once was. Her skin was sallow, and the dark circles under her eyes were heavy. The moment she saw me, she started yelling questions. Why has Zhang Fan been avoiding me lately? Did you say something to him? How could you be so cruel? Is it because you can't stand seeing him and me close? We have nothing to do with each other anymore. There's a limit to how much you can act out. A sarcastic smile played on my lips. Yeah, King, what would I say to him? With Zhang Fan's personality, do you really think I need to stir up trouble between you two? Ye Qing, look at yourself. You look like a ghost, neither dead nor alive. Do you really think Zhang Fan would still be interested in you? Without the serum, you're going to turn into a zombie sooner or later. Do you think Zhang Fan will have any use for you then? My words hit Ye Qing right where it hurt the most. She snapped her head up. No! How could I turn into a zombie? Absolutely not! Master will definitely find a way to save me. She hurriedly grabbed my arm. You definitely still love me, right? Quick! Give me your ability core. I can definitely hold on. Until the day the serum arrives, I shoved her away forcefully. Zhang Fan, why are you here? Startled, Ye Qing turned around, trying to explain. It's not what you think, Zhang Fan. Let me explain. But when she looked, there was no one behind her. She was about to get angry with me, but I sent her flying out the door with a single kick. She pounded frantically on the door from outside. Neighbors started coming out to see what the commotion was. Utterly humiliated, Ye Qing had no choice but to leave. She gritted her teeth and turned to leave. That afternoon, the chairman of Area 3, Shu Feng, gave me, Ye Qing, and Zhang Fan a new mission. Area 2 was urgently dispatching 100 vials of life serum. We were required to go to the designated location to receive it. In the post-apocalyptic world, energy in all the major areas had been severely depleted for 100 years. Aircraft were only used in the most urgent situations. For a serum pickup mission like this, we usually had to go by car. The three of us sat in the vehicle, each with our own agenda. The whole way, Ye Qing kept complaining to Zhang Fan, asking why he hadn't come to visit her. Zhang Fan could only use the excuse that he had just recovered from serious injuries and needed to cultivate in seclusion. I couldn't help but shoot him a wary glance. It's only been a few days, Zhang Fan, and you've already broken through to a level 4 awakened. I'm afraid it won't be long before you surpass your sister, Ye Qing. Ye Qing's powers were constantly being eroded by the corpse poison. Her cultivation level was now in a freefall. The moment I said that, Zhang Fan immediately panicked. Feeling guilty, he didn't dare to look at Ye Qing. Ye Qing's face darkened several shades. On the way, Zhang Fan could only try to console her constantly. Only then did her expression soften a little. Before long, the two were as close as ever. The armored vehicle arrived at the designated location. The escort team from Area 2 was already there. They handed me the box containing the serum, repeatedly reminding me, this batch of serum is extremely important. You must ensure it gets back to Area 3 safely. Members of the Dark Alliance have been active around here lately. You need to be extra careful. I nodded, my expression turning grim. The Dark Alliance, although also a human organization, but their beliefs are completely opposite to the Justice Alliance. The central zones of the Justice Alliance are home to millions of civilians. The Justice Alliance's mission is to protect the seeds of humanity, ensuring that mankind can survive forever, hoping for the day we can completely eradicate the zombie virus and return to our homeland. The Dark Alliance, however, is the exact opposite. The Dark Alliance enslaves civilians, building a dark empire, ruled by awakened ones. As soon as we got back to the armored vehicle, Ye Qing took out the life serum, eager to inject herself. But Zhang Fan reached out and stopped her. Wait until we're back at the Alliance to inject it. I've tested it. Injecting the serum will temporarily drain all your combat power. If something happens on the way, it'll be too dangerous. Let me keep the life serum safe. I guarantee it'll be absolutely secure. Ye Qing thought it made sense and handed over the serum. Zhang Fan quickly hugged the serum case to his chest, occasionally glancing out the window. I leaned back in the passenger seat, resting my eyes. Right at that moment, an artillery shell fired from a distance. I shouted sternly, "Get down! It's the Dark Alliance!" The shell scored a direct hit on the armored vehicle. The vehicle rolled 7 or 8 times before coming to a stop. A deafening explosion nearly ruptured our eardrums. The three of us were tossed around inside the vehicle, our heads slamming hard against the metal walls. Over a dozen people in dark gray combat gear raised their rifles and unleashed a hail of bullets at us.
I looked at Zhang Fan, who was putting on a fake act. You two go first. I'll stay back and cover you. With that, I kicked the car door open and dashed out like a bolt of lightning.
As a dual element awakened of wind and time, my speed was so fast that bullets couldn't even graze my clothes. I weaved through the thugs like a phantom. As time energy circulated within my body, everything around me seemed to move in slow motion. The trajectories of the bullets became crystal clear. With a sweep of my lightsaber, the Alliance members collapsed to the ground one by one, completely devoid of life. By the time I turned back to look at the armored vehicle, the area had turned into a world of snow. My heart skipped a beat. I hurried toward the vehicle. Ye Qing and Jiang Fan were both heavily injured. The life serum had vanished into thin air. Haha, luring the tiger out of the mountain? This kid definitely has a problem. But everything was going according to plan. I grabbed Jiang Fan by the throat with one hand. Where is the life serum? Didn't you say you'd keep it safe? That you'd guarantee its absolute safety? I lifted Jiang Fan off the ground by his neck. He desperately clawed at my hand with both of his. It wasn't me, Brother Lu Chen. Let me go just now, while you were dealing with those thugs. A rank 5 awakened showed up. Sister Ye Qing and I were no match for him. He was the one who snatched the serum. Seeing this, Ye Qing rushed over and hit my arm. Are you trying to kill him? Jiang Fan didn't lose the life serum on purpose. What the hell are you doing? Let him go right now, or I swear I won't forgive you. I turned to look at Ye Qing. Her hair was already falling out, and her eyes were turning red. This idiot still couldn't see Jiang Fan's true colors. Well, whatever. The one turning into a monster isn't me anyway. Just wait and rot away slowly. With a loud bang, I punched the armored vehicle hard. The vehicle rolled a few times before coming to a halt. Seeing this, Jiang Fan and Ye Qing were both terrified. They looked at me with eyes full of fear. Jiang Fan, you'd better pray I don't find any evidence. I will absolutely tear you to pieces. After saying that, I finally let him go. Jiang Fan clutched his throat, coughing violently. A flash of venomous resentment crossed his eyes. Back at Zone 3, Shu Feng flew into a rage. He almost had the three of us dragged out and executed by firing squad. Thanks to several high-ranking officials pleading for us, he reluctantly let us off the hook. Afterward, Shu Feng kept me behind, alone. He looked me straight in the eye. Lu Chen, the bombing of the medical research lab a year ago, there's definitely more to it. For them to pull off such a precise explosion and have an escape route ready, meticulously planned out, it's impossible without an inside man. Jiang Fan was one of the security personnel back then. Over the past 2 days, I have secretly investigated all the staff present at the time. That day, only Jiang Fan left his post for a short period. If you hadn't tipped me off, I never would have suspected him. I looked up at Shu Feng. His eyes were bloodshot. It was obvious that, over the past few days, because of the serum and the alliance, he had exhausted a great deal of energy. He pulled a file folder from his drawer. This is Jiang Fan's file. 3 years ago, when he joined the alliance, there was a lot of information in his background that couldn't be verified. Recently, I've been cross-checking the files of all the awakened, combined with the surveillance footage. From the day the medical research lab exploded, countless clues point to him having a major problem. I frowned. During this life serum handover, could anyone else have leaked the information? Hearing this, a sharp glint flashed in Shu Feng's eyes. Absolutely impossible. The escort team from Zone 2 was disguised by my most trusted men. They've been with me for years. There's absolutely no issue with them. The only ones who knew about this mission were you three. You and Ye Qing were both single-handedly raised under my watch. The biggest suspect is Jiang Fan. When I left Shu Feng's office, he handed me the real-life serum. Lu Chen, I'm completely disappointed in Ye Qing. Whether you give this serum to her or not is entirely up to you. No matter what you choose, I'll support you. I carefully put the serum away. Understood, Chairman. I get it. 3 days later, the stench of rot on Ye Qing grew stronger by the day. She was on the verge of mutating. If she didn't get the life serum, she could hold out for 1 more day at most. By now, she was completely consumed by despair. She even started to harbor some doubts about Jiang Fan. If only I hadn't given the serum to Jiang Fan in the end, how would things have ended up like this? If only Jiang Fan hadn't insisted on provoking the Zombie King, I wouldn't have broken my arm and gotten infected. Back then, when I was so eager to inject the life serum, Zhang Fan used danger as an excuse to stop me, and I actually thought he was worried about me. I obediently handed the serum over. When Lu Chen choked Jiang Fan to interrogate him, I even defended him, scolding Lu Chen for making trouble out of nothing. Ye Qing let out a desperate wail. Boundless regret surged in her heart. Just then, Zhang Fan arrived. Suppressing his nausea, he hugged Ye Qing. Ye Qing, it's all my fault you're in this state. I've secretly contacted a friend in Zone 1. Tonight, he's bringing a vial of life serum. Later, we'll go to the North Gate together to meet him. This serum was smuggled out. We absolutely cannot let anyone else know. Ye Qing immediately threw all her previous doubts to the back of her mind. Like a drowning person catching a lifeline, she agreed without a second thought. Ye Qing had grown up in Zone 3 since childhood. As a trusted confidant of Zone 3's chairman, Xu Feng, she knew the password to the North Gate. When night fell, Ye Qing entered the password without hesitation, stealthily opening the North Gate. But the sight before her left her completely stunned. Looking out, it was swarming with Awakened from the Dark Alliance. This wasn't a friend from Zone 1 delivering serum. It was clearly a trap Jiang Fan had set long ago. He wanted to sell out the entirety of Zone 3 to the Dark Alliance. Ye Qing's parents had both died at the hands of the Dark Alliance. The image of them falling in a pool of blood was still vivid in her mind. Yet she had personally opened Zone 3's gate for these animals. She abruptly turned her head to glare at Zhang Fan behind her. "You're from the Dark Alliance, you liar! I'll kill you!" She lunged straight at Zhang Fan, wishing she could eat him alive and swallow him whole. In her previous life, because of this fraud, she had personally killed the person who loved her the most. Only now did she realize just how foolish she had been. Right now, because of the infection, Ye Qing had dropped to a rank 1 awakened. She was barely stronger than an ordinary person. Zhang Fan sent her flying with a single kick. She lay paralyzed on the ground like a piece of trash. Zhang Fan completely tore off his disguise. If you want to blame someone, blame your own stupidity, you idiot. I want you to see with your own eyes how Zone 3 crumbles to the ground. With that, tens of thousands of Dark Alliance awakened, flooded in like a tidal wave. Their eyes were full of mockery as they looked at Ye Qing. After all the Dark Alliance members had entered Zone 3, I quietly appeared in front of Ye Qing. Ye Qing looked up and saw me. Tears suddenly burst forth like a broken dam. "The Dark Alliance is attacking! Sound the alarm! Quick, otherwise we're all going to die!" I stared at her coldly. Is that so? And who let them in? Who? If everyone in Zone 3 dies, who's the real culprit here? Ye Qing, before, to avenge that traitor Zhang Fan, you didn't hesitate to kill me to bury me with him. In this life, are you satisfied now? Hearing my words, Ye Qing looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. She stared at me in sheer disbelief. You came back too? I let out a cold laugh, completely devoid of the warmth I once had. What? What now, Ye Qing? You killed me for a Dark Alliance spy, destroying the last hope of Zone 3. And now you want to completely destroy Zone 3? Destroy the home we protected together? Every word I spoke was like a sharp dagger, piercing straight into Ye Qing's heart. She remembered her past life, time and time again. I had given her the best of everything. Time and time again, I had pleaded for her after she caused trouble. Time and time again, I had pulled her back from the brink of death. Yet, at my most critical moment, she hadn't hesitated to stab me in the back. Ye Qing's body trembled uncontrollably with regret. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Lu Chen, I'm sorry." She kept repeating those words over and over. I took out the vial of life serum and looked at her mockingly. "Ye Qing, the life serum was actually delivered a long time ago," Lord Shufeng said. "It was up to me whether to give it to you or not." The moment she saw the life serum, an unbelievable light flashed in her eyes. It was the ultimate flare of her will to live. She struggled to crawl toward me, begging desperately, "Give me the serum! Lu Chen, I'm begging you, give it to me. I know I deserve to die, but I can't die yet. Lu Chen, I want to atone for my sins. I want to kill that animal Zhang Fan. I'm begging you." I looked at her pathetic, groveling state, without a shred of pity in my heart. Right in front of her, I injected the life serum into my own body without hesitation. The life serum didn't just cure the zombie virus, it also contained abundant life essence. After an ordinary person injected it, their physical constitution would be significantly enhanced. I could clearly feel my physical strength rapidly increasing,
My dual wind and time abilities also became much more agile. Yiching stared at me blankly. Lu Chen, how could you treat me like this? I coldly watched her descend into madness.
Just stay here and rot away slowly. With that, I leaped into the air, soaring into the sky and vanishing without a trace. In the blink of an eye, on the outskirts of Zone 3, the Dark Alliance had fallen into an ambush. Ear-piercing sirens blared relentlessly. Above, massive flying battleships like steel behemoths illuminated the outskirts of Zone 3 as bright as day. Seeing this, the leader of the Dark Alliance, Lei Yan, a rank 6 SUSIS class Lightning Awakened, immediately ordered a retreat. It's a trap, fall back now. But it was clearly too late. The next second, dense beams of energy rained down like a swarm of locusts, engulfing all the Dark Alliance members flooding in. Before they could even react, they fell in droves like harvested wheat. Explosions and agonizing screams intertwined. This battle had turned into a one-sided massacre. Around Lei Yan, blinding lightning erupted. Dozens of buildings were instantly reduced to rubble. He tried to break through the encirclement of firepower. Right then, I descended from the sky, wielding the holy light sword. I slashed a devastating strike straight down at Lei Yan. Time seemed to freeze. At this very moment, the supreme power of my dual wind and time abilities fully erupted. The space around the blade began to distort. Lei Yan let out an unwilling roar. He threw a punch, and a violent surge of lightning, like a massive dragon, charged straight at me. But it was too slow. I cleaved that raging lightning dragon in half, dissipating it instantly. Right after, the holy light sword met no resistance, as it slashed into Lei Yan's protective shield, shattering it to pieces. Despair was written all over Lei Yan's face. The sword flashed. I turned my back to him. For a moment, the whole world fell into a dead silence. The eyes of everyone on the battlefield instinctively converged on me. They only saw Lei Yan standing stiffly in place, completely motionless. The next second, with a sickening squelch, his body was cleanly sliced in two. The leader of the Dark Alliance, once so arrogant and untamed, was finished off by my single sword strike, just like that. Everyone was left dumbfounded by this earth-shattering strike. After a brief silence, within Zone 3, a deafening cheer erupted, shaking the heavens and the earth. Long live Lord Lu Chen! We won! We won! Ye Qing's rotting body trembled violently at the sky-shaking cheers from afar. Long live Lord Lu Chen! Every word reminded her of just how foolish she had been. Her eyes turned bloodshot amidst the sea of cheers. The very moment she fully mutated, I swung my sword, creating a wind blade that finished her off. The Dark Alliance's reinforcement battleships arrived late, but unsurprisingly, they were completely annihilated. In this battle, Jiang Fan died under a hail of bullets. The high-ranking officials of the three major zones, upon learning that I had broken through to the peak of rank 6, pooled all the Alliance's resources together. In just 3 short months, they pushed me to the divine rank 7. Originally, the three major alliances were severely lacking in ammunition, making it impossible to wipe out all the zombies worldwide, especially the Zombie Emperor. The Zombie Emperor could not only withstand firearms, but also possessed terrifying regenerative abilities. But after I reached the divine rank, I completely obliterated the Zombie Emperor right from the start. And finally, under my leadership, the Justice Alliance wiped out all the zombies. Across the entire world, humanity could finally return home.